Located near the waterfront, Kuching's main bazaar is a vibrant shopping street that offers an extensive array of handcrafted souvenirs, traditional textiles, artisanal goods, and local delicacies. It is one of the oldest streets in Kuching, with many shops housed in beautifully preserved buildings, harking back to the era of the White Rajahs. Visitors can admire the intricate craftsmanship of Sarawakian beadwork, wood carvings, and the famous Pua Kumbu, handwoven textiles. Shopping here is more than just a transaction. It's a cultural interaction, as many shopkeepers are happy to share stories about the origins and uses of their wares. Exploring the bazaar is an adventure in itself, with hidden gems and delightful finds at every corner. Among the various places in Kuching, it's the most popular spot for souvenirs and traditional crafts. Sometimes this place also known as the Antique Arcade because the highest concentration of ethnic handcrafts and antique shop in the city. For architecture fanatics, this is the great place to visit, for it has some great examples of Chinese shophouse architectures, many of them occupied by the same Chinese families for generations. Main Bazaar, also known for its one of Kuching's oldest streets dated back to 1864, and where the most popular temple, the Tua Pek Kong, located. Nestled along the waterfront, the Tua Pek Kong Temple stands as one of the oldest Chinese temples in Kuching. It is a beacon of cultural and spiritual significance for the local Chinese community. Dedicated to the god of prosperity and wealth, the temple is an architectural marvel with its ornate carvings, colorful figurines adorning the roof, and intricate dragon columns. Visitors are welcome to witness the daily rituals, appreciate the artistry of the temple, or simply soak in the serene atmosphere. During certain festivals like Chinese New Year and the Hungry Ghost Festival, the temple becomes a hub of festive activities, complete with lion dances and offerings. At Main Bazaar, you can experience an excellent view of the Sarawakian River. Strolling along the Kuching waterfront is a delightful experience, offering visitors a leisurely way to explore the city's history and admire its colonial-era architecture. The paved promenade is well-maintained, fringed with charming cafes, restaurants, and shops. As you walk, you'll encounter numerous historical plaques, sculptures, and monuments, such as the Brook Memorial and the White Rajahs. At night, the waterfront comes alive with vibrant lighting and locals enjoying the cool evening air. This self-guided walk can easily be coupled with the visit to nearby attractions, including the Main Bazaar for some souvenir shopping and the Tua Pek Kong Chinese Temple. The atmosphere is family-friendly, and frequent benches provide spots to rest and people watch.